Everybody knows about the legend of the deal with the devil at the crossroads, but not many know the story behind it that made it a famous saying today within the entertainment industry. Robert Lee Johnson, born on May 8, 1911, in Hazelhurst, Mississippi, to Julia Major Dodds and Noah Johnson. He was the 11th child born to his mother out of wedlock after her husband, a landowner and furniture maker, was forced out of Mississippi by a lynch mob after getting into a dispute with a white landowner. She eventually moved them to Memphis, and Johnson then spent the next 8 to 9 years growing up there, attending the Cardenas Avenue Colored School. It was in Memphis where he fell in love with the blues and pop music. It was also here where his brother attempted to teach him to play guitar. After a few years, he rejoined his mother after her marriage to Will Dusty Willis in the late 1910s and returned to the Mississippi Delta. By this time, his focus was on music and he had no interest in working the fields with his sharecropper father. At 19, he married 14-year-old Virginia Travis in February of 1929. Sadly, Travis died 1 year later due to childbirth. Her relatives told blues researcher Robert Mack McCormick that her death was divine punishment for Johnson choosing to sing secular songs. To them, this was selling your soul to the devil. After her passing, he fathered a child with Virgie Mae Smith while living in Martinsville, and not long after, he married his second wife in 1931, Coletta Craft, just 2 years after his first wife passed. They settled in Clarksdale, Mississippi for a bit, but a restless Johnson soon left for a career as a walking or itinerant musician. After finding his passion and love for music in Memphis, Johnson continued practicing. His classmates remembered him playing the jaw harp and harmonica in school, but was known to be a relatively poor guitar player despite his brother's training. Nevertheless, Johnson continued playing. As an itinerant musician, he moved frequently between Memphis, Helena, and some smaller towns of the Mississippi Delta. He would also frequent the neighboring regions of Mississippi and Arkansas, sometimes going a bit further. He traveled with blues musician Johnny Shines to Chicago, Texas, New York, Canada, Kentucky, and Indiana. He never married again, but he had long-term relations with women that he would return to when he was back in town. When he wasn't in a familiar place, he would stay with women he would seduce. They never found out about each other because he would use different last names with the different women. When he would arrive in new towns to play, he would play on the street corners for tips in front of places locals would frequent like barbershops and restaurants. Instead of playing his own music, he would often play more popular songs, and a lot of them wouldn't even be blues songs. He was good at picking up tunes upon hearing them for the first time and was able to engage with an audience like no other. 2 years after Robert returned from his travels, he met up again with Son and his partner Willie Brown and played for them. Only this time they were left speechless by his playing. "He was so good," said House. "When he finished, all our mouths were standing open." Now here's where things start to get a little interesting. Shortly after moving to Martinsville, Robert learned house and other styles from Isaiah Ike Zimmerman. Isaiah was rumored to have learned how to play the guitar supernaturally from visiting grave sites. People who knew Robert recall that he was pleasant to be around and was outgoing when performing, but was very introverted and reserved when not performing. He also had a tendency to disappear for days on end without a word. Musician Shine stated, "Robert was a very friendly person, even though he was sulky at times, And I hung around Robert for quite a while. One evening he disappeared. He was kind of a peculiar fellow. Robert would be standing up playing someplace, playing like nobody's business. At about that time, it was a hustle with him as well as a pleasure, and money be coming in from all directions. But Robert just pick up and walk off and leave you standing there playing, and you wouldn't see Robert no more maybe in 2 or 3 weeks. So Robert and we began journeying off. I was just matter of fact, tagging along. There are many accounts of the legend of how he acquired his skill, but the main one is that as a young man living on a plantation, he had a strong desire to make a living as a blues musician. He was instructed to take his guitar to the crossroad near Docker Plantations at midnight. He was then met by a large black man who took the guitar and tuned it after exchanging some words. He played a few songs on the guitar and gave it back. Once he got it back, Johnson was able to miraculously play. Most legends where the devil is involved requires a time period, and after that period is up, the devil would come collect on a deal made, which is usually around 10 years. This is said to be proven by Johnson's mysterious death. He died on August 16, 1938, at the age of 27 of unknown causes. According to some fictional retellings, he would begin drinking heavily, acting strange, and seeing things that weren't there. His death wasn't reported publicly, and most people found out he had passed while searching for him to play in concerts. In fact, his death certificate was found 30 years after his death because musicologist Geraldine Wardlow was researching his life. Robert's impact on music was very little while he was alive. He only played on street corners and juke joints and Saturday night dances. He had little to no commercial success and only did 2 recording sessions, both in Texas. His legacy didn't pick up until after 2 decades had passed following his death. Now he is regarded as the most important blues singer that ever lived by Eric Clapton and is heavily credited as influences for artists like Bob Dylan, Keith Richards, and Robert Plant. He is now inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, considered a master of blues, and is credited as being the first ever rock star with only 29 songs to his name. Johnson is a prime example that hard work eventually pays off. If you put your heart and soul in something, keep practicing and keep moving forward regardless of where you are in that moment. You can always improve, and that is all it takes. You may not see the impact, but someone else will. So keep going and never stop. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more videos on Black culture. Also, let me know what videos you would like to see in the future.